One of my greatest ideas? I don't know. I think so though. So I have this eternal fear of having nothing to do. I fear boredom. I feel having days without anything planned. And since I had like a week until the next drift event that I'm doing, I was looking at the schedule at Limerock and I saw that they were doing a racing school through Skip Barber, which a lot of you guys have recommended to me and a lot of my friends that said was a good school. So I'm heading over there and I'm actually doing a 3-day course at Skip Barber for kind of like specifics on racing, which I'm pretty excited about. I know I've been doing a lot more like grip driving lately and I want to make sure that all my fundamentals are like dialed. And I've just been having a lot of fun with it. So I'm heading out there and this will be the first of 3 days. Oh boy. Every video I start, I'm running late. I promise there's beautiful back roads and I'm like, oh, I'll have them all to myself early in the morning. I'll be able to shave off 10 minutes, no problem. I won't be late. And I just so happened to wind up following every school bus humanly imaginable. I didn't realize that kids were still in school up here. I thought it was out already. And I've been stuck behind almost every single one, so I'm gonna be that guy rolling up late, unfortunately. I'm not joking, look, school bus sandwich right now. You guys see the other school bus? We're sandwiched. There's nothing I can do. Finally got some open road and it is so beautiful out this morning. Now there's no school buses, there's no cars. Such a pretty track. Kind of reminds me a little bit of VIR now in retrospect that I've been there. Kind of how it's in like the little forest and everything. I love Limerock. So the cars that we are going to be using at the Skip Barber Racing School are actually Ford Mustangs. And I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit bummed at first until I got behind the wheel. They actually handled really, really well. I would even say they would give my GT350 a run for the money on the track. And I'm curious why these cars handle so well. So this is Mike, one of the lead instructors from Skip Barber. Give me the rundown. I wanna hear the full car check.
Yeah, no problem. We use these cars because they're so nimble and very well balanced, both in the way they're built and the way they are modified to use the way we use them. We have a multi-point cage in the car that strengthens the car that way also, and for additional safety. Under the hood, we do have some stiffening going on under the hood via a strut tower brace that helps stiffen the front end of the car as well.
Can I play a guessing game?
Yeah, go right ahead.
All right, I want to try to guess just from based on the feel of the car if I can figure out what's going on underneath the car. So tire-wise, it doesn't seem like anything special. Just what, like a summer tire or something?
No, actually, we have a Goodyear Eagle F1 asymmetric tire on here, 300 tread wear. So we use a all-season tire for the most part. We use it for multiple reasons. One is that the awesome audible feedback it gives the students and the car gives it awesome car control. It's also good in the rain or any type of weather really, which is why we like to use it. So these cars are live axle on the rear, correct? This is correct. So you can't play with camber in the rear, but it does look like there's a little bit of camber in the front? Yes, there is. We run a little bit of negative camber and an additional positive caster, and we keep the tow pretty much at 0 for these cars. So these cars have been modified suspension-wise. We use a Ford Racing suspension kit that's semi-adjustable. Are they stiffer bars? Actually, they are stiffer bars, larger bars, urethane bushings, and it's coil on strut in the front and shock and spring in the rear with progressive rate springs all around. A lowered ride height by about 2.5 inches from stock, so it does handle quite well. I know it's dirty because I've been running it all day, but can we look underneath the hood? Yeah, sure. Let's take a look. Yeah. I know it's not really anything special, but still, like, I think my impression was when I came up here, I'm like, oh, there's a bunch of rental Mustangs, until we actually got inside of them. And I was like, all right, these things feel good. Yeah. So as we look under the hood, yeah, it looks pretty basic, but if you really start to look, we can see that we have a heavy-duty Ford Racing cooling radiator in there with an aluminum expansion tank to allow for the extreme temperatures that the car goes under. The air conditioning and things like that had been removed from the car, or were never put in actually when the car was new, because these cars were purpose built. With the addition to that, we do have the Ford Racing strut tower support and the cold air kit and shorty headers as well. All adds to horsepower and torque that moves this car so greatly. What I thought was kind of cool too is, like, from a driving perspective, you know, I didn't think that the cars would have an exhaust or sound cool. I didn't think, like, inside the car, you guys actually have like a cool shifter. So the things that make the car feel extra special, like, and actually be able to hear it, having it sound cool, I feel like makes the experience a lot better. It's nice, but I think my favorite thing on these cars by far, I don't know if you want to go into detail, are they just front brakes or front and rear on all these cars that you guys do? So we run Stop Tech brakes all around on the car. Two-piece floating rotor up front with 6-piston Stop Tech brakes, and then single piston Stop Tech calipers and brake pads and rotors in the rear of the car. with race calibrated ABS.
Do you know approximately like how much the cars weigh? Because I know there's like some stuff removed, but I don't know if it's enough to make a difference with added weight of the cage.
Okay, so when building a car like this, some things are removed for multiple reasons: fire, safety, weight saving. So a lot of the interior has been removed from the car, and some of it has been retained because we still need side windows and stuff like that, because the cars do stay outside sometimes. We need to close them up. However, the weight has been added back via the roll bar.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Like that. However, this car still pretty much retains its factory curb weight, as it will, about 3,400 pounds plus driver plus fuel. So do the math there on what you weigh and what 18 gallons of fuel weighs.
Cool. Well, I appreciate the insight on the car. I just figured you'd be the guy to talk to rather than me just sounding like an idiot, being like, yeah, it's got some tires and camber, and yeah. It's pretty cool though. I definitely have like a newfound respect for this gen of Mustang after driving these properly set up for the track. What's up with this? This is what I want to know. I see this hanging out of your trunk. Why?
Okay. Well, in the event of emergency, we need to get in the trunk really quick, right?
Why?
Just for easy access, in case we need to get in there or the car's on fire or anything like that. Anybody can get in the trunk really quick.
I guess. That's kind of a cool way to do it too, huh?
Yeah.
Is that just a factory cable that you guys just like routed through?
It's a little bit of a secret there that we did here. So this is normally inside the trunk.
Yeah.
It's the safety lock in case you've been
That's what I
locked
thought.
in your trunk.
That's funny.
So we removed the lock cylinder, snaked the cable through the hole in the trunk, and put that handle back on, so it makes it a nice, quick, easy release.
That's funny. Alright guys, so this is actually part of a stop box exercise where we would basically go and do a lap, and then they would have their instructors stationed at different corner stations, corner workers, I don't know what they'd be called. But anyway, we would go and do a lap and they'd be watching us at each specific corner and area, and then they would give us feedback after each lap. So, I mean, this clip and the next clip, I make a lot of mistakes, so it's definitely not an ideal line or anything. But more or less, I just wanted to give you guys kind of an idea. This is probably after, I don't know how many laps I did on track, but obviously I know the line somewhat, and there's cones marking kind of the turn-in point in each apex, so that was pretty useful. The main thing though is just kind of getting comfortable with the car and understanding kind of the limits and grip. When I put my hand up right there, it's because while we were getting comfortable for the 3-day program, they didn't want us going over, I think it was 4,000 RPM at first, and they continually raised it just to make sure that we weren't going too fast into the corners. So once we got to that certain RPM, they just wanted us to hold it there rather than going too fast. So we'd kind of do this track and wouldn't do the full track, come down this hill, which is pretty fun feeling, and then we'd come into this box up here, and then over the radio they'd give us feedback.
A long trail brake all the way down to the apex, so you don't need maybe as much initial brake pressure as you did when we did the phase 1 through 3, but you're going to be on the brake a lot longer down to the apex here, as well as downshifting to 3rd. Thanks.
Perfect. Yeah, that was helpful. Thank you. So in this lap, I'm going to kind of go over with you guys the proper line, even though I might not be taking it since I'm not that experienced. Usually we'd be flying down the straight, start braking at the 5, kind of release at that cone, turn in, hold this apex between both these cones, kind of let the car track out here, bring it back in for these 2 cones that you probably can't see that well, let it track out to this cone on the left, then kind of give throttle, start braking. The idea is to hold it kind of wide-ish, but there's a little bit of banking, and you want to just really kind of straight line through there as much as you can, compromise that corner to get the outside cone, then to that inside apex, track out, carry as much speed as we can here. We weren't allowed to go full speed because of the limit, but up here, this is one of the most interesting corners. You kind of brake, turn in, and the car kind of gets understeery, and you just turn in harder when it compresses on the uphill and let it track out to that guardrail. I didn't do it right here, but you'll see as I start to get better, the car will actually start to lift up a little bit. This is just a basic corner, apex, track out. But that uphill and that downhill are really interesting because you can actually turn the car in much harder when it compresses. So down here, we're supposed to kind of not necessarily jerk the wheel, but turn a lot more drastically than we would in any other corner. And it feels pretty cool once you figure it out. One of the coolest tracks, one of the first places I feel like I kind of like found my love for actual like driving cars on tracks. Long story, I don't know if I told this in video, but like my first ever experience, my mom's boyfriend at the time had like a Camaro SS, and I took it to autocross here, and I beat a bunch of old guys on like Corvettes and stuff, and I felt good about myself because I was like 16 years old, and I was like, I want to race, and then I found out that I couldn't afford it, and then I got into drifting 3 years later. So anyway, We're here at Limerock, and I don't know if you guys follow me on Instagram. I made a couple posts about wanting more formal driving instruction. And a lot of you guys told me about a driving school called Barber, which I knew had classes at Limerock, and it just so happened that they had classes during a period that I didn't have anything to do. So I came out here to do their 3-day racing school in hopes of kind of dialing in my fundamentals and just everything in regards to racing on a proper track, because I have been doing it a lot and I want to make sure I'm not making stupid mistakes. So with that in mind, I didn't want to look like the vlogger going to school and be like filming during all the class and stuff. So the first 2 days I didn't really film, and not that it was anything that interesting to film either, just really tried to absorb information. And I'm gonna give you guys kind of like the 3 biggest takeaways that I had personally, because I mean they covered everything from proper braking, cornering, all different fundamentals with hands on the wheel and downshifting, and like you name it, they go literally through all the miles. But the things that I always mess up on, this is one thing I don't know if I've ever told you guys before, but I stole their instruction tool. So they use this for trying to teach people kind of, what's it called? I don't know, basically braking into turns. When you have like a full threshold braking, trail braking, it shows how much I pay attention, right? Basically the premise is, if you ever look at one of those little G meters, how they kind of explain is you can't be using all the car to corner and using all the car to brake at the same time. It's kind of a trade-off. So the concept with this that I always think is really cool is basically when you want to be fully depressed on the brake, you have to have the steering wheel straight. But when you want to start turning in, you have to slowly start letting up on the brake in order to kind of not make the front wheels try to do 2 things at full load at once. So it comes into play more when the car is being pushed to its limit, but that's one cool thing that I thought would be cool to share with you guys. And if you're ever on a track, it's a good thing to work on, kind of braking in a straight line, and then as you let off, kind of start turning in gradually. Same thing with when you get back on the gas, turn out gradually. Not that I don't know it already, but I feel like with drifting, our inputs are a lot more sudden because we're constantly like flicking the car and mashing the gas, where like I really had to focus on being smooth with the brake, smooth with the gas, and smooth with the wheel. So that was one thing. Another thing too that I definitely took away, my eyes are always like down right. I don't know if this is boring you guys. Maybe it is, but maybe it's not because I'm telling you guys how much I suck. But like one thing I realized I always did wrong, I would always be looking way too close to me. And I think a lot of that's because of drifting. And it's also kind of hurt me with drifting at Road Atlanta because I wasn't looking at the proper zones I needed to be in, and my car wasn't going there. So I was really focused in the first couple days and trying to work on keeping my eyes up and looking ahead rather than just looking, you know, a couple feet in front of me, because I'm used to there being a car there tandeming. So we did an autocross thing, and then we did actually kind of like a drift thing where we had to like control the car after it got kicked out. Both of those which would have been boring to show you guys because you've seen the autocross track here and you guys have seen me drift. And then we started getting comfortable on the track, just working online, doing lead follow and stuff. I'm happy to be here and have an opportunity to brush up on my driving skills because I'm just trying to get really good. And I don't know, it was cool doing the rally stuff because there was a lot of overlap with drifting and it helped me with that. And I thought that maybe doing this would help with rally, and then that will help with drifting. I don't know. I just want to learn. I like learning. So this was really cool, and I apologize for the lack of content. It's because I've been here. It's been an 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. class 3 days in a row, and it's like an hour drive. So I'm really dedicating my time and really trying to focus and get as much as I can out of this, and hopefully share with you guys some of the stuff that I learned. So here we go. So this was kind of a bonus that I wasn't expecting. I actually got bumped up to the advanced driving group from the 3-day racing school. They have like a 2-day advanced driving program, and it just so happened that they did me a massive favor and let me take my Porsche out on track, which I don't think is something that they would normally let someone do, but I kind of used the YouTube thing a little bit to my advantage, and they were cool enough to let me take it out on track, which is awesome. You know, having the Porsche there and being able to take it on track is awesome, but what's even cooler is having all these like super experienced instructors that were willing to give me feedback in the Porsche as well. So I kind of utilized it in the same way that we were doing with the Mustangs before, with the stop box exercise, where they would be watching at all the corners and give me feedback. So most of this footage is just kind of like me doing laps of the Porsche and getting their feedback. I'm definitely not using anywhere near the limit of the car. I don't know if you guys can tell, but it's an extremely fast track and there's not a lot of forgiving runoff. It's lots of walls, lots of barriers. I don't have track insurance for the car, so if I write it off, I'm screwed. So I'm doing my best, but I'm also keeping it conservative. But you'll see as the video goes on, I start to push it a little bit harder and harder. I also try to add in the G meter force stuff too to make it more interesting for you guys.
So, although it sounds freaking amazing, we gotta watch out for Limerock. They have decimal reading too.
Is it loud?
Oh, that was loud. It was awesome, but loud.
Okay.
I mean, you look great.
So do you want me to putt down the straight?
Yeah.
Aww.
Just a little, you don't have to go crazy, just not as high as you would go.
Okay.
All right. You are good.
So you'll notice after I got the warning for the sound, I kind of started short shifting lots of places. They do have a decibel limit at Limerock that I'm pretty sure my car is over, and they're kind enough to let me take my car out on track, so I didn't want to get them in trouble. But one thing I do want to add is there are also corners watching back where I could probably downshift before, like when I'm coming to the uphill, or maybe even before, not before the downhill, but there's a turn. Yeah, kind of before the down. No, I probably shouldn't downshift there. But anyway, I think that there's places where I could really downshift and get more out of the car. But I was really working on line, and keeping it in a higher gear kind of lets me be a little bit more bad at throttle control, to just focus on my line and not worry about upsetting the balance of the car. Because with the rear engine, it is very easy to kind of throw the weight off and then end up into a wall or something. So I was just, you know, I'm going pretty fast. You know, we're doing 100 miles an hour on some corners, but I'm also playing it a little safe. Is that better?
Go for Porsche. They're going to give you feedback.
Hey Adam, it's Murph over here watching turn 3. You are coming out of turn 2, kind of on a diagonal. I'm sure maybe that's what the other group was showing you, kind of on a diagonal to the turning cone here for 3, and then making kind of an abrupt turn from that first cone. It's getting you in low and early into 3, and also you're running in a little low and early into 4, which you can't open the throttle very soon. So what I'd like to see you do is shape turn 3 a little bit more. Go a little later turning, get closer to the double cones, the second part of the turning point for turn 3, and then wait a tick longer to turn in for turn 4 so you can straighten your hands a bit sooner and open the throttle and get a better one down on the donate. I think Ben's got something for you in the uphill. Hey Adam, Ben here at the uphill. Yeah, looking good. You're just not tracking out enough. You want to find that white line. Remember, it's a Porsche. It's got the engine in the back, so you kind of want to point and shoot, get the car rotated, and then make sure your hands are straight going over the hill, but track out a little further to the left over that white line. Try to get your 2 left side tires on that white line.
Okay.
You said this is the last lap?
Who said that?
Oh, I thought you said one more.
No, no.
Oh, okay.
One more feedback.
Got it, okay. this is my last lap that you guys will see in this video. Originally I was going to put all my footage into one video, but then I realized that I might get some complainers if I have an hour worth of track footage of the same track in one video. So to give you guys an idea of what you can expect tomorrow, I set up very similar GoPros in the Porsche and in the Mustang, and the last day I felt like I was able to, you know, maybe not push the cars to 100% of their capabilities, but I would say well into the 80 to 90% region. So I thought it would be an interesting comparison to see kind of how I've improved with my line with the Mustang, and to be able to kind of do a side-by-side comparison of lapping in the Porsche and lapping in the Mustang. So tomorrow in the video you'll see like full hot laps, you know, not braking in that stop box and just flying down the straight. And then in the beginning of the day too, we had a cool little passing exercise. So that's what you guys will see tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed this content. It's been a dream of mine to drive at Limerock, let alone in a GT3 RS. So I'm super stoked that this was able to happen, and very thankful for Skip Barber for being very, very cool with their program and letting me do this. I hope you guys enjoy the content, and I will see you tomorrow.